Right, so the next stage is just to have a look at how we're going to put these clear plastic ones in. I'm just going to do some quick resin casting. I'm using some special clear water resin with the catalyst. You just add onto there and it should go clear. I have done this and used this in the past for the other parts. So if we quickly have a look on the chest armour, we've used it on these parts. I've also used it for other castings on other jobs as well. It's quite an easy one to do here to cast. You can see I've got the LEDs flashing onto the arm biceps now. What I'm going to do is I've secured, let me just zoom in a little bit down there, is I've just used some blue tack, some plasticine or things like that. I've sprayed some just basically strips of plastic with some quick release, and I've sealed the absolute end, so hopefully you can see it's all sealed down this part as well. What I'm going to do then is literally just top that up to the levels I want to make that bit clear, so it should then act as a diffuser when the lights are actually clicking off and changing. And I've done that on both of them, and it's just a quick job to do, don't need to do much on there. Right, now the next bit is obviously the biceps. So again, I've gone, just for speed now, I've gone to vacuum form the parts, so these bits actually fit onto the arms, and these just need fiberglass in. As with anything, what you'll need to do is make sure you've got the things ready to go. So I've got my two bicep pieces there, I've got my tray ready to go with the fiberglass resin. Still using the same resin, it's the same sort of resin that you get from most places. In my case I'm using David's fast glass resin, which I got from Halfords in the UK, and this one here is obviously from Fiberglass Direct in the UK. And from there, now they do supply these as well, but it was just that I needed something quick to get onto it. And as with anything, what you'll need to do, make sure it's ventilated. You need to get everything prepared out, so you can see I've got all the strips ready to go, so I can just literally pick these up wearing gloves, drop them into the tray and fiberglass onto them. I need to make these solids. Once I've done that, I then need to put the LEDs wired into them. You can see I've already started to pick some things up. These were a couple of pounds just from Maplins. Again, not the cheapest place to go to for some things like this, but it was literally just on hand and I was walking past, so yeah, I went in. And that's the 9-volt battery. I'll charge it now. Eventually they'll be charging up the LEDs that are going to be fitted into these components as well. That's the plan. Okay, so the next job then is to mix the resin and pour the resin in, and then once we've done that, the next job will be to fiberglass these, keep it ventilated, and that'll take a few hours, and then I'll come back and start to look at assembling. Right, so I've done this mix, so you can see where it is. It is quite clear. When you mix it, what you need to make sure you do is, when you agitate it, which is nice and slowly, is you use a brush and just mix it nice and slowly. If you mix it really, really rapidly, what you're going to find you're going to end up with is loads of air bubbles in, which isn't good when it sets. Now I've literally just dripped this in a bit at a time into these sort of moulds, so hopefully you can see that they're actually in there, and I've just made it just so it's slightly level to where the edges need to be. So there's the other one there, probably see that one a little bit better. Now they'll obviously be solid when they're in, and be clear. I'll put a little frame around just to make it look a bit more professional, but it should make the light sort of come off quite substantially better than the others. So if I just connect this up, for example, because the viscosity of the fluid is quite thick, it's not going to affect or drip into where the lights, the holes around the light, etc., or onto the back piece. So it's an easy way of doing it there. So hopefully we can see that it actually lights up all that acrylic bit there. So from the side or from the top, that's the sort of effect we're going to get with a bit of luck. Right, now the other thing is, you can see there's some little bubbles in there. That'll actually come out, and that's not too bad as a casting. And it's just by shaking or vibrating these areas really, just to make sure that it works. That should be okay. I've kept this in this part. This will tell me when it's going to go off. It's starting to go warm now, so it's set. So it's always useful to put a little bit more in. I've put a bit too much in there, I was going to say, but it's always useful to actually do that and just set something in. I might actually fill some of these areas in as well. I'm not too sure yet. We'll see how we go with that. Okay. Right, so we're back now. The resin's almost gone off. You can see I've removed the side bits, so it's on there as well. I did actually resin some metal grids in here as well, so if I just lift that up slightly so you can see. So you can see that's resined in, and that looks quite smart. This bit's fine, it does light up extremely well. The other part, which is the bicep, and I'm just being very careful with this just so I don't get any dust on this as well, because it's not fully off yet. The bicep part will actually fit onto the arm there. This will be the front bit, and actually be face down. Now I did find the old Pepicura bicep which I did, which looked a bit like this. It was rounded. Didn't really go with the model as such on there as well. So what I have done is obviously I've changed the design and also made it so it vacuum formed out. Now it does fit the arm better there, the bicep there as well, better than this one. Size proportion wise, just a little bit smaller, but again things can be added on. We've got to put the band on the bottom, but I think the detail in this is a lot better than something that's just round and looked a bit clunky really, to say the least. So that's that part that's been replaced there. It's nice and square, but it also means it fits onto the edge of here quite well. Right, so the next part then. This one's all been fiberglassed through, so you can see it's really rigid, and the ends really smooth, and I've done that on quickly on the sanding belt over there. So that was just a way to speed it up, but that is absolutely rigid now, completely solid. Now the other part I've done is I've actually drawn the hole through there, and in there, once this is all sprayed up, that's where the actual bulb or the LED is going to go to light the downward area, and you can see that's quite a depth through there, so the bulb should be held and hidden extremely well down there once it's all sprayed up. Okay, this is all going to be padded out, and obviously the wires are going to come through. So from this one, all I've done there, and you can see I've got the other bits ready to fiberglass in a second, but what I've done there is got this one completely solid ready to go, and this one will look exactly the same as that when it's all done, and that will just be then sprayed up. And I've kept the plastic coating on here just to protect it while I'm fiberglassing. Saves a lot of rubbing down, but on that one, that looks extremely smart. There's got to be a bit more detail there. You might put a few screws like we've done in here. There's a bit more detail that's got to go on here as well, to be honest. And obviously I'll need to replace these bits now with something that actually so the paint sticks onto the plastic rather than something that just peels off, and then that should be fine. But the idea is it looks quite smart. It looks what it needs to do. So the next thing to do then is to see how this lights up. So if I just pause for a second, and when we say light up, I'll get this one lit up in the dark so we can see, but just so we can see these ones as well before I put them in. These are the clear LEDs. Now these are literally about £4 or £5 each. They're from Maplin's in the UK. Disappointingly, I've had to wait about 4 weeks for these because I only ever keep one in each store. Why instead of a pair, I do not know, but they only keep one in the store. So I've had to wait a bit of time to get one of these through. So I'm just going to bend the legs so you can see where they are, and then hopefully you can see these are ultra light, ultra bright should I say, LEDs on there as well. So we'll just connect that one up. Hopefully it should work. It's supposed to be negative. Just make contact. There we go. So you can see they're quite bright LEDs, and those are going to go into the forearms as well. So I'll put that one into there so we can see what it's like when it's lit up, and then I'll turn the lights down so we can see what we like.